In a research lab in Pennsylvania, a pig named Omelette sat in front of a computer screen and moved a cursor across it using a joystick he held in his mouth. The task had originally been designed for monkeys. Push the joystick, steer the cursor into a target on the screen, and a treat drops into the tray. Omelette learned to do it. And then one day the treat dispenser broke. The reward stopped coming. And the pig kept playing anyway. Not for food. For the sound of a human voice telling him he had done well. Sit with that for a second. A pig that plays a video game. A pig that keeps working after the food runs out, just to be praised. And then sit with the other number, the one we would rather not think about. We kill more than 1 billion animals exactly like Omelette every single year. This is a video about an animal we have decided is food. An animal most people picture as a fat, filthy, grunting thing in a pen. And almost everything you picture is wrong.
The pig is smarter than your dog. It recognizes itself. It dreams. It remembers your face for years. It can lie, it can plan, it can use tools, and it may understand more about us than we understand about it. By the end of this video, the word pig will not mean what it meant when you started watching. If you are the kind of person who wants to know what animals are really like, not the cartoon version, but the real one, subscribe right now. It takes 3 seconds, and it genuinely helps this channel grow. Let's get into it. Fact 1. The domestic pig is not some soft creature we conjured out of nothing. It is a wild boar. Genetically, the pink piglet on a farm and the tusked, bristled boar crashing through a forest are essentially the same animal. We did not replace the boar. We simply dressed it up. Fact 2. We did not erase the wild in the pig. We only hid it.
If a domestic pig escapes and goes feral, within 1 or 2 generations, its descendants grow coarse bristles, longer snouts, and sharp tusks again. The boar was inside it the whole time. Fact 3. Humans domesticated the pig at least twice, independently. Once in what is now Turkey and once in China, roughly 9,000 to 10,000 years ago. That makes it one of the very first animals we ever tamed, older than most of our written history. Fact 4. There is no single animal called the pig, it is a whole family. There are dwarf pigs, smaller than a house cat, and there is the giant forest hog of Africa that can weigh well over 250 kilograms. Fact 5. At any given moment, there are between 700 million and 1 billion domestic pigs alive on Earth, and roughly half of them are in China. By the numbers, this is one of the most abundant large mammals on the entire planet, and almost every one of them exists for a single purpose: to become food. The number raised and killed each year runs to well over 1 billion, more than 1 pig for every 8 people on Earth. Fact 6. For decades, pork was simply the most eaten meat in the world. Poultry has recently caught up, and by some measures pulled ahead. But across the sweep of human history, very few animals have fed us the way the pig has. Fact 7. The pig is a true omnivore. Grain, roots, fruit, insects, eggs, carrion are leftovers. It eats almost anything. And that total flexibility is exactly why it thrived beside us when pickier animals could not. Fact 8. The pig is an extraordinarily efficient converter of food into meat, needing roughly 3 kilograms of feed for every kilogram of weight gained, while a cow needs 7 or 8. Where land was scarce, people chose the pig over the cow for that reason alone. Fact 9. The pig is not fat because it is lazy. Wild and half-wild pigs are athletic and restless, constantly moving and rooting. The bloated, immobile farm pig is something we engineered through breeding and force-feeding, not something the animal is by nature. Fact 10. A pig can run at around 17 kilometers an hour. An ordinary farm pig would leave a jogging human behind. Now the body, because a pig experiences the world in a way almost nothing like ours. Fact 11. The center of a pig's universe is its snout. It is not just a nose. Inside it there is a special bone, and the pig uses that snout like a crowbar, prying up soil and flipping rocks with a strength that seems impossible for something so soft-looking. Fact 12. That snout is also one of the most sensitive touch organs in the animal kingdom, packed with nerve endings. A pig reads the world through its nose the way you read a room with your eyes and your hands together. Fact 13. The pig's sense of smell is phenomenal. For centuries, people in France and Italy hunted truffles with pigs because truffles grow up to 30 centimeters underground, and the pig can smell them straight through the soil, homing in on a hidden treasure no human eye could ever find. Fact 14. The pig's sense of taste is just as sharp. By many estimates, it has around 15,000 taste buds, far more than a human, and it is especially good at detecting the bitterness that in the wild so often signals poison. Fact 15. The eyesight, on the other hand, is poor. Pigs are nearsighted and do not resolve fine detail well. For a pig, the world is built out of smell and sound first, and pictures a distant third. Fact 16. And no, contrary to a claim you have probably heard, a pig is not physically incapable of looking up at the sky. It can. It simply rarely needs to, because everything interesting to a pig is on the ground in front of its nose. Fact 17.
The hearing is excellent, and the ears are mobile and expressive. A pig reads the tone of your voice with ease and knows almost instantly whether the human nearby is calm or angry. Fact 18. A pig barely sweats. It has very few working sweat glands. So the phrase sweating like a pig is biological nonsense, because sweating is the one thing a pig cannot really do. Fact 19. Which is precisely why it wallows in mud, and that behavior has nothing to do with being dirty. Wet mud cools the body, shields the skin from sunburn, and smothers parasites. For a pig, a mud bath is sunscreen and air conditioning in one. Fact 20. And this is the one that shocks people. The pig is a clean animal. Unlike almost every other farm species, pigs deliberately pick a single toilet spot far from where they sleep and eat, and keep the rest of their space clean. Piglets learn to do this within days of being born. A filthy, stinking sty is not the pig's nature. It is what happens when a clean animal is given no room to be clean. Fact 21. An adult pig has 44 teeth, and piglets are born already armed with several sharp ones. Fact 22. Pigs can swim, and they swim well. On one island in the Bahamas, feral pigs wade out into turquoise water to meet the tourist boats and paddle around beside them, the famous swimming pigs. And now we get to the part of this video that changed how I think about pigs completely. Fact 23. The pig is one of the most intelligent animals alive. On a whole range of cognitive tests, it outperforms dogs and cats, and researchers routinely compare its mind to that of a 3-year-old human child. Fact 24. In a study published in 2021 by scientists at Purdue University, pigs used a joystick to steer a cursor into targets on a screen. That is not simple. It requires abstract thinking, understanding that your own movement is controlling a separate object over there that is not your body. Plenty of animals cannot make that leap. The pigs did, and they did it on a task originally built to test monkeys and chimpanzees, a task an independent expert described as genuinely difficult to solve. Fact 25. And when the treat machine failed, the pigs carried on playing for encouragement alone. They worked not for food, but for a human's approval. Fact 26. Pigs pick up commands we think of as belonging to dogs: sit, come, fetch, spin, and they often learn them faster than dogs do. Fact 27. A pig has superb long-term memory. It remembers places, routes, and hidden caches of food, and more importantly, it remembers specific individuals, both pig and human, for years. Show a pig where food is buried, and months later, it will walk straight back to the exact spot. Fact 28. A pig understands cause and effect, and it can plan. It will pass up a small reward now in exchange for a bigger reward later,
a kind of self-control that human children take years to develop. Fact 29. Pigs understand object permanence, the knowledge that a thing which disappears from view still exists. Hide something a pig wants, and it does not conclude the object has vanished. It goes looking, because it knows the object is still out there. Fact 30. A pig learns its own name and responds to it, turning toward you when you call it, and ignoring the names of other pigs, exactly the way a dog does. Fact 31. Pigs use mirrors. Shown a bowl of food in a mirror, food that was actually hidden behind a barrier, a pig turned around and went straight to the real bowl rather than the reflection. It understood what a mirror is, and used that understanding as a source of information. Fact 32. Pigs deceive each other, deliberately.
A pig that knows where food is hidden, noticing a larger rival following, may lead that rival the wrong way and come back for the food later, alone. To do that, it has to grasp that another creature has its own eyes, its own knowledge, and its own intentions. Fact 33. Pigs use tools. In 2019, a Visayan warty pig named Priscilla, in a Paris zoo, was filmed picking up a piece of bark in her mouth and using it to dig a pit for her nest, the first documented case of tool use in pigs, joining a short list that includes primates, crows, elephants, dolphins, and sea otters. Researchers watched the pigs do it repeatedly over 2 years, and even when handed easy-to-hold spatulas, the animals mostly stuck to their own bark and sticks. Fact 34. And crucially, no human taught her. The behavior appears to have spread through the family, from mother to daughter and between adults, which means it is not just intelligence, it is social learning, a kind of culture in miniature.
Fact 35. There are even reports of wild pigs pushing rocks toward an electric fence to test whether it was live, and waiting for the click. That looks less like instinct and more like an animal forming a hypothesis and checking it. Fact 36. Pigs navigate like surveyors. In a maze, a pig does not merely memorize a single path, it builds a map of the space in its head. So if you change the maze, it does not panic and get lost. It recalculates and finds a new route. Fact 37. Pigs sort objects by shape, size, and brightness, and they generalize, taking a rule they learn from a few examples and applying it to brand new ones. Fact 38. A pig knows its exact rank in the social order, who is above it and who is below it, and it adjusts its behavior to each individual accordingly. Fact 39. Pigs dream. They cycle through the same REM sleep every mammal has, twitching their legs and snouts as something plays out behind their closed eyes. Fact 40. Pigs have measurable moods that bias their decisions. Pigs raised in a rich, stimulating environment tend to expect good outcomes in ambiguous situations, an optimistic bias, while pigs kept in barren conditions expect bad ones, exactly the way it works in us. In other words, a pig can genuinely be in a good mood or a bad one, and that mood colors how it reads an uncertain world. Fact 41. A rescued pig in South Africa learned to hold a brush in her mouth and paint on canvas, and collectors around the world paid real money for the artwork. A pig that paints, and gets better at it over time. That is not a circus trick, it is an animal learning to do something with intention. Fact 42. Pigs are close enough to us mentally that they are now seriously studied as a model for the human brain and behavior. In part, we are studying ourselves through them. Honestly, this is the section that shifted something in my head. It is one thing to say, in the abstract, that pigs are smart. It is another to picture the specific animal, the one that plays a game for praise, that tricks a rival by leading it astray, that carries a map of the world in its mind and paints on a canvas, and then to remember what we do with it, and how little of that most of us ever stop to consider. Let's keep going, because the intelligence is only half of it. The emotional life is just as rich. Fact 43. Pigs are deeply social animals. In the wild they live in tight family groups, and isolation is a genuine source of stress. A solitary pig is a suffering pig. Kept alone, a pig grows anxious and withdrawn,
showing the same signs of distress a social primate would. Fact 44. Pigs recognize each other as individuals and keep dozens of acquaintances straight in their minds. They have friends, and they have others they avoid. Fact 45. Pigs catch each other's emotions.
If one pig is frightened or content, that state spreads to the pigs around it, which is the biological foundation of empathy. Fact 46. Pigs comfort one another. A pig will approach a stressed companion, press against it, and lie down beside it, physically lowering the other animal's anxiety, and pigs have been seen going out of their way to help a trapped or distressed groupmate. Fact 47. Pigs have a sense of fairness. They notice when they are treated unjustly, and they remember who wronged them. Wrong a pig, take its food, and at the next meeting there will be consequences, because a pig holds a grudge over exactly the kind of small injustice we assume only humans keep track of. Fact 48. Pigs play, and not just piglets, and play is a reliable sign that an animal feels safe and well. A pig has to be genuinely content before it starts messing around. Fact 49. Pigs have distinct personalities in the strict scientific sense, some bold and curious, some cautious and anxious, and those traits are stable over time. Fact 50. Pigs tell humans apart by face and by voice, and a pig you have spent time with will recognize you long after you have gone. Fact 51. Pigs feel anticipation and disappointment, brightening at an expected reward and visibly deflating when a promised treat fails to arrive. Fact 52. The bond between a sow and her piglets is powerful. She knows the voice of each of her young, and they know hers. Fact 53. Within a group, conflicts usually get settled through display and sound rather than real violence. Pigs have rules. Fact 54. Pigs read attention, understanding whether a human is watching them or has looked away, and they adjust. It is easier to sneak food when no one is looking, and pigs know it. Fact 55. Pigs learn by watching each other. One pig solves a problem, and the rest copy the solution. And they talk more than almost any other farm animal. Fact 56. Pigs are extremely vocal, with dozens of distinct sounds, grunts, squeals, barks, and low rumbles, each carrying its own meaning. Fact 57. In 2022, scientists analyzed thousands of pig sounds recorded across a pig's whole life and built an algorithm that reads a pig's emotions straight from the sound of its grunt, whether the animal is calm or afraid. The emotion is right there in the voice, if you know how to listen, and the study drew on more than 7,000 recordings to prove it. Fact 58. Short grunts tend to signal a content, relaxed pig, while long, high-pitched screams belong to fear and pain, and the pattern is consistent enough that a machine can score it just by listening. Fact 59. A nursing sow actually sings to her piglets, a steady rhythmic grunting that they suckle along to, a lullaby in the most literal sense. Fact 60. Each piglet has, in effect, a name. The mother knows every voice, and each piglet can pick out its mother's call from among dozens of others. Fact 61. Pigs summon one another and pass along information about food and danger. A particular squeal snaps the whole group to attention in an instant. Fact 62. Intonation carries the message. The same grunt at a different pitch and rhythm can mean anything from all is calm to something is wrong. Fact 63. Pigs respond to human speech directed at them. A soft, friendly tone settles them just as a loud, harsh one frightens them. Fact 64. Even the tail is a readout. Relaxed and slightly curled means a content pig. Tucked tight means stress or pain. And the richer and more interesting a pig's life is, the more it vocalizes. Boredom makes a pig fall silent. Here is how they come into the world. Fact 65. A sow's pregnancy lasts about 114 days, which farmers remember as 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. Fact 66. A litter is usually 10 to 14 piglets, and a sow can produce 2 litters a year, so pigs multiply fast. Fact 67.
Piglets are born seeing, alert, and up on their feet almost immediately, running to the udder within the first hours. Fact 68. Within days, piglets establish a teat order, each claiming its own nipple and defending it, and since the front teats give the most milk, there is a real scramble for them.
Fact 69. A piglet knows its mother by voice and by scent, and can find her among other sows. Fact 70. Piglets are born small, around a kilogram, but they grow at a startling rate, reaching market weight in roughly 6 months. Fact 71. Before she gives birth, if she is allowed to, a sow builds a nest, gathering straw, leaves, and branches. That instinct runs deep, and confining a pig so tightly she cannot act on it makes her genuinely miserable. Fact 72. Piglets start playing within their first weeks, and through that play they learn the rules of living in a group. The pig has been walking beside us for at least 9,000 years, and it is woven into us more deeply than most people realize. Fact 73. It has been with us since the first villages and the first stored grain, which makes it, quite literally, as old as civilization itself. Fact 74. In written Chinese, the character for home or family is a pig beneath a roof. A home is the place where a pig lives under your roof. Fact 75. The pig is one of the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac, a symbol of prosperity, honesty, and good fortune. Being born in its year is lucky. Fact 76. The piggy bank is no accident either. The pig was a peasant's living savings account, eating scraps all year and then converting into meat and money. Fact 77. And yet, in Judaism and Islam, the pig is forbidden, and that single rule has shaped the diets of billions of people, quite literally dividing the cuisines of entire civilizations. Fact 78. The word pig became an insult across countless languages, shorthand for filth, greed, and stupidity, which is the deepest irony of all, because on cleanliness and on intelligence the real animal contradicts every part of that label. Fact 79. There is a famous line, often attributed to Winston Churchill, though no one can actually prove he said it, that dogs look up to us, cats look down on us, and only pigs treat us as equals. Fact 80. George Orwell chose pigs as the masters of Animal Farm for a reason. In our culture, the pig has long been the animal whose behavior feels unsettlingly human. Fact 81. A couple of corrections while we are here. The guinea pig is neither a pig nor from the sea, and the teacup pigs and micro pigs sold as forever tiny pets are mostly a marketing story. Many of them grow into large animals weighing tens of kilograms, because a breed that stays truly pocket-sized for life does not really exist. Fact 82. Truffle hunting with pigs has nearly died out for a funny reason. The pig loves truffles so much that it eats them before the human can dig them out. So hunters largely switch to dogs, which find the treasure but do not eat it. Now here is the part almost no one thinks about. The pig may be food to us, but it is also one of the great, quiet saviors of human medicine. Fact 83. Pig heart valves have been transplanted into people for decades, and right now hundreds of thousands of human beings are alive with a valve from a pig's heart inside their chest, keeping them going. Fact 84. Before genetic engineering, the insulin that kept diabetics alive was extracted from the pancreas of pigs. Millions of people lived for decades on pig insulin, from the 1920s right up until lab-made human insulin arrived in the 1980s. For most of the 20th century, a diabetic's life depended on a pig. Fact 85. Heparin, one of the most important blood-thinning drugs in existence, essential to surgery and intensive care, is still largely produced from the lining of pig intestines. Fact 86. Pig skin has been used to cover severe burns because it is so close to human skin that it works as a temporary dressing while the patient's own skin heals underneath. Fact 87. Anatomically and physiologically, the pig is so similar to us that it has become the primary animal for practicing operations and training surgeons. Fact 88. In 2022, surgeons in Maryland transplanted the heart of a genetically modified pig into a dying man, the first time in history a living human received a working pig heart, and it beat inside his chest for weeks, keeping him alive for about 2 months. In 2024, doctors placed a gene-edited pig kidney into a living patient, and pig livers were tested too. Fact 89. These donor pigs are edited in dozens of places in their genome, some of their own genes switched off and human genes switched in, so the human immune system will not immediately destroy the organ.
In 2025, the first clinical trials of pig kidneys in living patients were approved.
And pigs engineered so their organs are not rejected may one day close the terrible gap in donor organs that leaves people dying on waiting lists every day. Fact 90. A single slaughtered pig disperses through our lives into hundreds of products. One well-known project traced everything that came from a single pig and counted around 185 items: gelatin, soap, photographic film, medicines, paints, ingredients in asphalt, even components in ammunition. We are surrounded by the pig, threaded invisibly through medicine, food, and industry, and we almost never notice how much of daily life quietly runs on it. Fact 91. But the same closeness that makes the pig so useful to us also makes it dangerous.
Because pig biology sits so near our own, the pig can act as a mixing vessel where viruses from birds, pigs, and humans meet and recombine into something new. And that is part of the story behind more than one flu pandemic, including the swine flu that swept the world in 2009. Savior and threat, in one body. And do not forget the wild side. Fact 92. The wild boar, ancestor of every domestic pig, is one of the most widely distributed large mammals on Earth, spread from Europe across Asia, and with our help, nearly everywhere else. Fact 93. In its native range, the pig is a vital ecosystem engineer. Its endless rooting turns and aerates the soil, spreads seeds and fungal spores, and helps forests renew themselves. Fact 94. But where humans dumped pigs into places they never belonged, they became a catastrophe. Feral pigs now number in the millions across the United States and Australia, wrecking crops and driving out native wildlife, breeding so fast they are almost impossible to wipe out. Fact 95. The point is not that the pig is bad. The point is that we carried it somewhere it had no natural place. A pig in its own ecosystem is a necessary link. A pig in a foreign one is a disaster, and the responsibility for that is ours, not the animals. Fact 96. Gone wild for just a couple of generations, a soft domestic pig grows bristles and tusks again and turns back into a clever, cautious, formidable beast. The clearest possible reminder that the cute pink piglet is only a version of the wild boar that we ourselves invented. So let's bring it home. Fact 97. Pigs feel fear and pain as sharply as dogs do. Their nervous system, their brain, their capacity to suffer, all of it sits right beside the capacities we defend without hesitation in the pets we love.
Fact 98. A pig raised well alongside people behaves like a dog, meeting you at the gate, coming to its name, flopping onto its side to be scratched, missing you when you leave, and greeting you when you come back. People who keep pigs as companions describe them as clever, stubborn, affectionate, and impossible to fool twice. Fact 99. A pig can live for 15 to 20 years, but a pig raised for meat is usually slaughtered at around 6 months. An animal with the mind of a small child, capable of 2 decades of life, is given about half of 1 year. Fact 100. And maybe this is the most important one. The world does not sort neatly into clever and food, into good animals and bad ones. The pig is a creature we simultaneously adore in cartoons, despise in our insults, heal ourselves with using its organs, and eat on an industrial scale. All of that is about one single animal.
And by every sign we have,
It understands us at least as well as we understand it, and quite possibly a good deal better. We have simply never been in the habit of asking what the pig thinks of us. We started with a piglet named Omelette, playing a video game for nothing more than a human's approval. Now you know the things about pigs that quietly rearrange the picture, not a dumb, dirty animal, but one of the smartest, most sensitive, and most underestimated creatures sharing this planet with us. The next time you pass a bacon ad, or a cartoon pig, or a truck full of them on the motorway, you will know what is actually inside that pink body. So here is a question for you, and it is not rhetorical. Has this video changed the way you see pigs? Or is it still just the farm and the meat for you? Be honest in the comments, whatever your answer is. I genuinely read them, and I want to know. If you made it all the way here, subscribe because it means you actually care about who is really out there living alongside us. Leave a like if the pig surprised you, and drop the name of an animal you want covered next. And I will see you in the next one.